Hi, Davy. Awesome. And welcome to Davy's Awesome Wrestling, where I review wrestling related things, all from the perspective of a fan, not an insider. So, last week, I reviewed WrestleMania 40, of course. Great show. But I'm at a point right now, working and everything, I can only review one thing a week. So the same week as WrestleMania 40 was NXT Stand and Deliver. I'm going to go ahead and review that for you this week. It was live from Philadelphia. The opening match for the NXT Tag Team Championships was the team of Nathan Frazier and Axiom versus the Wolf Dogs, Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker. It was pretty good. Good back and forth. Baron Corbin, being that this was a big event, they're now hailing this as like NXT's WrestleMania. He decided to pull out all the stops and did a very rare splash from the top of the rope. And it went until Baron Corbin got the end of days on Axiom, and then did this thing where he started to get the end of days on Nathan Frazier, but let him go so that Braun Breaker could get the spear, get the pin, and he and Baron Corbin retained their tag team championships. Like I said, it was pretty good. It was a decent way to open this show. I didn't feel like on this night, Axiom and Nathan Frazier were going to win the titles. Only thing that made me go kinda, sort of, is Braun Breaker being signed to SmackDown. Maybe this is going to be him dropping the titles. But no, not on this night. Like I said, it was pretty good. No complaints. And solid 3 out of 5. Then for the NXT North American Championship, Dijak versus Josh Briggs versus champion Obafemi. I gotta say, this was really good. Which I've talked about it in other reviews. Obafemi has not really done anything to impress me yet. Finally, he did. There were some big moves, like when Obafemi first used Dijak as a battering ram to Josh Briggs on the outside, and then decided to press slam him onto Josh Briggs outside. Not to be outdone, though, Josh Briggs got a top rope choke slam onto Dijak to the outside onto Obafemi, who was resting comfortably in a chair. Then when Dijak went to do the big move, he's got Josh Briggs on the ropes, on his shoulders. So Obafemi decides to come over and put Dijak, Josh Briggs, on his shoulders and slam them both down. And then after Dijak had gotten 2 Feast Your Eyes on Obafemi, the second one being outside, gets Josh Briggs into the ring, gets the Feast Your Eyes. But by this point, Obafemi had recovered, came in, and got the pop-up powerbomb onto Dijak, onto Josh Briggs, making it to where, of course, Josh Briggs was not going to count out as Obafemi pinned him and retained his championship. Honestly, this was a great match. In my opinion, this was match of the night. I give it a 5 out of 5. Then a 6-woman tag team match. Kiana James and Izzy Dame teaming up with JC Jane, too much rhyming in that team, versus Fallon Henley, Kalani Jordan, and Thea Hale. As we know, Fallon Henley kind of has a problem with everybody because she's kind of getting in everybody's business, and has had a issue with Kiana James and Izzy Dame, her and Kalani Jordan. Plus, Thea Hale has had that building rivalry for quite a while with JC Jane, which is kind of what my disappointment in this match was. I kind of feel like this match should have been a one-on-one between JC Jane and Thea Hale, because that might have been something special, but as a 6-person tag team match, this was just okay. It's pretty standard 6-person tag team match, like really nothing special in it. And it just went until Thea Hale got Izzy Dame in the Kimura arm lock and won the match through tap out, which, again, there just wasn't anything special about this match. There was too much going on. It didn't need to be a 6-person tag team match, especially because, not trying to be mean, on NXT regularly, the Fallon Henley, Kalani Jordan feud with Kiana James and Izzy Dame is just really not that interesting. It's okay for weekly TV show filler, but not really that interesting. The JC Jane Thea Hale thing has been interesting, and this supposedly NXT's biggest night of the year should have been the blow-off match, but really, it's just going to continue. I honestly would only give this one a 2 out of 5. Yeah! Then in between this, Ava Raine, the GM of NXT, announced that they will be bringing in the NXT Women's North American Championship. I'm excited about the concept because I've talked about it before many times. I don't think the WWE has a strong enough women's roster to facilitate tag team divisions. It's not working. It's not interesting. Honestly, I'd have to sit here and think a minute to even remember who the tag team champions are. Oh, that's right, it's the Kabuki Wars. But it's just, that's how interesting it is and how interesting it's always been. I just don't think there's a strong enough depth. However, I do feel they're strong enough to have a women's mid-card championship, kind of like AEW has been doing. I think that is a better idea, and I think they should start there. And of course, it's NXT, it's the developmental territory. This will be a good testing ground, and if it works out, then we might get a women's United States or Intercontinental champion. Or we could think outside the box and have it be like the women's TV championship, where that's kind of the prize, is that they can defend the title on either Raw or SmackDown. But whatever. As far as the look of the title, I'm not crazy about it because it looks way too much like the men's, and I'm not a big fan of the men's either. Then for the NXT Women's Championship, Roxanne Perez versus Lyra Valkyria. This one was great. It was better than their previous match before Lola Vice got involved. At NXT Vengeance Day, I had talked about it in that review that their match was just okay until Lola Vice came out. This one, it was great from start to finish. They really brought it for this one. I also like that Roxanne Perez, she's turned heel, she's brutal, but she didn't technically cheat. And I like that. I like when they can actually have a heel that doesn't need to cheat. Willing to, of course, but doesn't need to. They're just that good. Of course, somewhere around here, Tatum Paxley came out and tried to help out Lyra, but that didn't work out as they ended up colliding. And eventually went to Perez getting the crossface onto Lyra Valkyria, which you can imagine was agony on her injured shoulder. Lyra Valkyria was able to get out of it, and after a pop rocks, instead of going for the pin, went for another crossface. This time Lyra could not get out, and had no choice but to tap. Therefore, new NXT Women's Champion, Roxanne Perez. Like I said, this was a great match. Not quite as great as the North American Championship match, but it was pretty friggin' close. I'll give this one a 5 out of 5. Then for the NXT Championship, Tony D'Angelo challenges Ilya Dragunov. It was good, but I kind of expected more. I mean, they had D'Angelo refusing help from Channing Stacks Lorenzo, who was at ringside, which I don't get. Are they trying to make him a babyface? Because, I'm sorry, this whole D'Angelo family thing, I can only see that working as him being a heel character. It being a faction, a mafia-style faction, they should be the heels. He should be willing to get dirty and do whatever it takes to get the job done. So I honestly didn't like that. There was some cool moments, like when both D'Angelo and Ilya apparently had the same idea, getting a table ready to put one or the other through it. Although it would be Ilya getting D'Angelo through it with an H-bomb from the barricade. Then in the ring, there was another H-bomb from the top rope, which got Ilya the pin and the win, helping him retain his NXT Championship. Like I said, the only disappointment in this is Stand and Deliver. This is their supposed biggest one of the year, and at no point did it seem like Ilya Dragunov was in any danger of really losing his championship. And honestly, I'm going to say it, I kind of was hoping that he would. As big a fan as I am of Ilya Dragunov, and I am, I kind of feel like, what else is he going to do in NXT? It's time for him to go to the main roster. And not only that, but Tony D'Angelo, I was hoping they'd make him more heelish, because I kind of feel, again, that's the way they should be going with that. He should become a huge heel and be the guy dominating NXT. But instead it was like he was trying to be babyface. Dragunov is just being intense, even though he didn't really need to be that intense. I would only give this one a 3 out of 5. Then the main event, which I'm glad they saved for the main event because this is the hottest rivalry going on in NXT. Carmelo Hayes versus Trick Williams. A good old-fashioned blood feud. Friends as close as brothers, one turning on the other. No matter how many times you see it, it never gets old. It was really, really good. But I think it got a little overhyped because I was expecting more. Not that it was disappointing at all. There was plenty of back and forth. There was plenty of brutality on both sides. And there was the drama of who's going to win. We know Carmelo Hayes is going to the main roster, but were they going to have him do the honors for his friend Trick Williams, or were they going to stretch this out? And it actually looked like at one point that Trick Williams was going to get screwed again after he accidentally splashed the referee. But he didn't. The referee recovered. But eventually, Carmelo Hayes got a running knee onto that same poor referee. And even though Carmelo Hayes got the nothing but net by the time the new referee came out, Trick Williams was able to kick out, recover, and eventually get the trick knee onto Carmelo Hayes, get the pin and the win, which is great for Trick Williams. It helps his career go in NXT, and it's a great way to end Carmelo Hayes' career in NXT and let him go to the main roster. Because I have talked about it before, and I'll talk about it again, I see big, big things in Carmelo Hayes' future. He is very talented on the mic, in the ring. I look at him and I see future world champion. But like I said, this match, I was just expecting a little bit more out of it, so I couldn't quite give it a 5, but I easily could give it a 4 out of 5. Yeah! So NXT Stand and Deliver overall was okay. Not as good as the last one they had, Vengeance Day. They're talking about Stand and Deliver as being their version of WrestleMania, their big PLE of the year. And in reality to me, both this year, last year, it's really more like they're just giving NXT something to do during WrestleMania weekend. I think they kind of need to drop that. Don't try to make this their WrestleMania. Make their WrestleMania somewhere else in the year. Their biggest night doesn't have to be in April. As far as the matches themselves, yeah, there were a couple of 5s, a couple of 3s, and a 2. But the story progressings, there were some okay, there were some like eh. I really was disappointed with the 6-woman tag team match. I get they want to get as many people in there as possible. Then again, for like a 3-hour show to have 6 matches, you could have done a little bit more. You could have had a tag team match of Kalani Jordan and Fallon Henley versus Kiana James and Izzy Dame, and given us the one-on-one that we want with Thea Hale and JC Jane. But no, they had to do a 6-woman tag team match. It was kind of exciting for them to announce a women's mid-card championship. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully it works out, and hopefully that can happen on the main roster. I talked about the NXT North American Championship match. That was my favorite match of the night. I was very impressed, which I'm happy about because they've been hyping up Obafemi for months now, and I had yet to see something that was really impressive. Well, finally, I'm impressed. I'm also very impressed with what they're doing with Roxanne Perez. When they first turned her heel, I was like, I don't know, she seems too nice. I don't know if she can pull that off, but she's pulling it off. And again, I like that she's a heel because she's good and she knows it. But then we get to the championship match where this is a heel that, in my opinion, him cheating makes sense. But they had him refusing to cheat, like he's trying to be a good guy. He's supposed to be a mafia don. That's not a good guy. If he's going to be a mafia don with a little mafia around him, then he needs to be a bad guy, and not just a bad guy, but the bad guy that's willing to do whatever dirty, rotten thing he has to do to win. But instead he was, no, I'm going to win this straight up, honorably, like a man. It didn't make sense. And again, they were trying to hype it up as, oh, this could be the end of Ilya Dragunov's reign. At no point in the match did it feel like this was even close to being the end of his reign. The main event, I was really glad that it was Carmelo and Trick. Even though it had no title, but then again, it didn't need to be for a title. It's a blood feud. And it was a powerful blood feud. Whereas I said I expected more, I again attribute that to just the hype. Maybe it was just hyped up a little too much. It was still really good. I just expected a little bit more. But I can't take away from it. And I am glad that Carmelo Hayes did the honors for his friend. And I really do hope that Carmelo Hayes is done in NXT because, in my opinion, he is the future of the business. But overall, just watching Stand and Deliver with them hyping it up as being their biggest night of the year, it didn't feel like it. It just felt like another NXT event. So really on that note, don't really feel like I can give it a 4. But I will say it easily got its solid 3 out of 5. Yeah! So there you have it. That's my wrestling review this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit the little bell so you get notifications when I post videos, and leave a comment. Tell me what you thought of NXT Stand and Deliver. Tell me if you actually do feel like it was their biggest night of the year. Love you guys.